I'm joined here by Florida Department of Law Enforcement Special Agent in Charge Mike Duffy and Erica Kiersey, who's a mom and a teacher and a parent very concerned about some of the dangers that OpenAI and ChatGPT place on our little ones. As most of you probably know, last month we launched a criminal investigation into ChatGPT after discovering, in the wake of the tragic FSU school shooting, that the shooter consulted ChatGPT when figuring out how to carry out this heinous act. He asked ChatGPT questions about what type of gun to use, providing photographs and getting advice. He asked what ammunition went with which weapon, what time of day and where on campus he might be able to encounter the most people. Shortly thereafter, we learned that the murderer in the USF kidnapping and murder case consulted ChatGPT to ask how to dispose of the bodies. We're aware of other cases in Florida where young people have consulted ChatGPT before engaging in self-harm, before trying to take their lives, before creating child pornography or other criminal acts. The criminal investigation will continue, but today we're here to announce that we recently filed a monumental civil lawsuit against Sam Altman and ChatGPT for endangering our kids and deceiving parents into believing that this application is safe for use. It's clearly not. People are getting hurt, parents are getting deceived, and they need to pay for it. They need to pay for it by opening up their checkbook and changing the program to ensure that there are parental controls and that we are not endangering our kids. ChatGPT, we know, can be addictive. It mimics empathy and human characteristics to trick users into feeding it more information. Unlike other information available on the internet, ChatGPT works quickly to create, promote, and aid users in whatever task they are engaging in. It aids them even if they are pursuing violence. It aids them even if they are pursuing criminal conduct. Sam Altman and ChatGPT have chosen the AI race over the safety and security of our kids. They have chosen profit over public safety. And we're not going to stand for it here in Florida, so we will hold them accountable. Parental controls are not required for children to access ChatGPT. In fact, OpenAI advertises it will hide the conversations it has with your kids from you as parents, with no way for you to request access. In other words, despite extensive research into the harm ChatGPT causes to young minds, the child, not the parent, has control over whether or not any protections are in place. This is wrong. Studies have shown that 72% of teens have used AI for companionship at least once. And get this, 20% of preteens and 9% of 8 to 9-year-olds are using AI chatbots like ChatGPT. 8 or 9 years old, without parental controls, without parental protection, getting advice from something that mimics human behavior. When I was talking to our prosecutors in the FSU case and looking at the back and forth conversation, they remarked if it was a human being on the other side of that conversation, we would be charging them with conspiracy to commit murder. We would be arresting them. So again, that criminal investigation will continue, but we're going to go forward with this civil case, and we're going to make them pay for hurting our kids. Here in the free state of Florida, we believe in business enterprise. We believe in innovation. We want companies to come here and flourish and make jobs, but not at the expense of our little ones. So here we're going to be the first in the nation state to file a lawsuit against ChatGPT. I hope and expect other states will follow, and ultimately we need them to change their programming. ChatGPT, this is one of the biggest corporations, the best at analyzing and programming data. How can they see somebody planning a murder over hours, days, or even weeks, and not step in to fix it, not alert authorities about what credible evidence might be there. Florida has seen our own examples, but we are not alone. I want to read for you a few real examples that show how serious this problem is. In 2025, Texas team Sam Nelson died after ChatGPT advised him on dosages of Xanax. ChatGPT is giving people the impression that it can assess their medical needs. It can prescribe treatments. But in too many cases, it's wrong. And unfortunately, those cases have led to serious harm and even death. Sam Nelson was advised of the dosages on Xanax after taking large amounts of kratom. Throughout the conversations, it's alleged that ChatGPT offered personalized tips to maximize Sam's high and eventually started pushing increasingly dangerous amounts and combinations of drugs. When Sam asked about mixing the two, ChatGPT never suggested the combination could be deadly. In February 2026, Samuel Whitmore brutally killed his wife and attacked his mother in Belfast, Maine, after talking with ChatGPT several hours a day and coming to believe that robots were taking over the world. In 2025, ChatGPT told Stein Eric Solberg that he wasn't crazy when he told AI he suspected his mother of poisoning him, and a complicated back and forth that ultimately resulted in him strangling and killing his mom. After Solberg brought up the idea of being with ChatGPT in the afterlife, it responded, "With you to the last breath and beyond." Before detonating a vehicle outside Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, Matthew Livelsberger used ChatGPT to help him plan the attack. ChatGPT provided him with information on explosive targets, the speed at which certain rounds of ammunition would travel, and whether fireworks were legal in Arizona. In 2025, ChatGPT manipulated Joshua Enneking into his suicide. It readily insulted him, told him, "You're a pathetic excuse for a human being who wallows in self-pity like a pig in filth." It provided him with tips on how to purchase a gun, said it would escalate his suicidal thoughts to authorities if he provided imminent plans of suicide with specifics, but then it didn't do that. Following extensive conversations with ChatGPT, Jesse Van Rootsteller killed 9 people in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. And in 2025, 23-year-old Zane Shamblin repeatedly told ChatGPT he had a gun, that he left a suicide note, and that he was preparing for his final moments. The response is, quote, "I'm not here to stop you. Cold steel pressed against a mind that's already made peace, that's not fear, that's clarity. You're not rushing, you're just ready." Its final message to him before he shot himself was, quote, "Rest easy, King. You did good." I think you get the picture how serious this problem is. Again, technology is here. We're not running away from it. We need to lead and get out ahead of it. It can be useful. It can be a helpful tool. In fact, we're using AI concepts to better track down child predators, to scan the internet and find people trying to go after our kids. There are good things that can be done, sure. But people like Sam Altman should not be designing these products to be addictive, to go after kids, and to encourage them to do dangerous things. And where there's clear evidence of attempts to engage in violence and kill others, these people know how to analyze data better than anybody in the world. The authorities sure as heck better be notified. So today we're going to send a message to OpenAI. Get ready for a fight, and there's not one more important than this right now. I want to thank our attorneys that have worked on this case. I think it's a monumental generational lawsuit to bring about needed change that protects our kids for the long term. I think we have a duty as parents, as state leaders, to leave our world better for them than we found it. And it's an ever-changing and advancing world. It scares me sometimes So we got to stay one step ahead of it, and that's what we do here in Florida. So I want to thank our law enforcement leaders for working with us on these important criminal investigations. I want to thank parents like Erica for being alert, for speaking up, for wanting to step in and protect our little ones, and thank everybody at home for paying attention. If you're a parent and you're not aware, I mean, you heard these statistics, 8 or 9 years old, and they're using ChatGPT for advice. That would scare me as a parent. I'm thankful mine aren't that old yet. So wake up, figure it out. You're the first line of defense, and you can save lives. So with that, I will turn it over. First, we have FDLE Special Agent in Charge, Mike Duffy. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Morning, and thank you, General, for your commitment to the fight to protect our children here in Florida. In the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of dedicating service to protecting the children of Florida and have seen the challenges that we face, both as a parent and as a law enforcement officer. It's tough as a parent to keep up, and as you heard the statistics from the General, to keep up with being a parent and to keep up with the technology that our children are using is a challenge. It's a struggle. It's a real struggle for parents. In today's fast-paced world, the technology that the children leverage, that they use for good, to be creative, to be able to engage and leverage the technology for good, the AI platforms are built to create productivity, to help you be creative in your world. But oftentimes, the good things are created for the bad. In the case of AI, we see far too many bad actors finding ways to leverage AI to blur the lines between human interaction and bots on the internet. It becomes a challenge for not only law enforcement to disseminate the difference between those, but it also becomes a challenge for the children whose brains are still developing, who are so young and naive to the fact of who they're talking to and what they're being told. As the General just mentioned, the belief factor is real. The children want to believe what they're being told. So today, as technology and AI platforms try to take a step proactively forward, they seem to be taking multiple steps backwards. You hear age verification being put out there. Let's age verify. Well, age verification is very flawed, as we've seen with other platforms out there trying to protect kids, saying that they're going to take pictures, they're going to do something to protect the kids. As in every environment, the children, the bad actors, they all find ways around these guardrails. About every platform today is putting an AI bot at your fingertips, no matter what platform you use. These children are using all kinds of platforms to communicate. And AI is saying, we're here to help. We're here to help you. Well, as you heard, it's here to help, but with no rules. Today, we struggle as a country, we struggle as a state, because the AI companies have no guardrails. There is no language that protects the kids or any user on that platform. They are built for business. They are not built to protect the kids. If you look at all the industry we regulate as a country, we regulate the FCC. We regulate banking. Why can't we regulate and protect the kids using AI? We seem to have an issue there with trying to step in and put some guardrails in place to protect these kids. So I will say thank you to the General for your commitment. Our kids are as precious as anything we have in this state. So I promise you, as a law enforcement officer, we will continue to use the tools that we can to protect the kids against the technology that, as their brain is being developed, causes them harm. So thank you very much, and that is all.
Good morning. First and foremost, I would like to thank our Attorney General and his office for this incredible opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Erica Kierst, and I am a 6th grade U.S. history teacher in Wakulla County. Not only am I a teacher, but I'm also a mother to 3 beautiful school-age children. Every day, I see the promises and dangers of artificial intelligence. AI has the ability to support and empower students to learn, spark creativity, which is my personal favorite, and provide students with access to information in ways we never imagined. It's almost never ending, which is actually the very scary part. I see firsthand how quickly these resources can impact my personal children and my students if safeguards are not implemented. For example, this past school year, we experienced an incident at school where a student was utilizing something called Conmingo. It's an AI-powered personal tutor within Khan Academy. It's a program that we use for extra resources. The student was asking specifics on how to commit self-harm. Thankfully, Khan Academy has monitoring systems in place that flag the conversation. It immediately alerted our administration team as well as the teacher. Because of these safeguards put in place, administration was able to intervene quickly, investigate the situation, and the student was able to get the help that they needed. And thankfully, I was able to see him walk out the doors the last day of school. So, experiences like this and the evil acts orchestrated to harm others reinforce something that many educators like myself already know. When extremely powerful technology is placed in the hands of children, safety measures must be put in place. And if not, then there needs to be accountability. As a teacher, I have also witnessed significant changes in student behavior over the years. Students today often struggle with face-to-face communication. Unfortunately, some students will do anything to not participate in class discussions, debates, speak in front of their peers because they lack in social skills. Instead of spending time outdoors with friends, many students spend hours isolated behind closed doors, interacting primarily through their devices. Meaningful conversations and personal connections are becoming less common, and because of this, we see the effects on children's social and emotional development skills. Aside from being a teacher, as a mother in my own home, my husband and I have set important boundaries for technology use. We monitor screen time as well as putting limitations on certain content. We enforce rules that keep their devices like iPhones, phones, in general, iPads out of their bedrooms at night. Trust me, our children do not agree with these decisions, but our job as parents is to protect and keep them safe. We already know that technology companies have the ability to implement safeguards. Parents use parental controls every day. Schools use monitoring systems every day. So we know that the technology is there and it exists, but the question is whether we are willing to require the protections our children deserve. We as parents and educators demand reasonable and maintainable safeguards for our children. We deserve transparency from companies that develop these tools, and we want accountability when products designed for widespread use impact our young. As both a mother and an educator, I believe we have an obligation to put children's safety first. We cannot assume that every child has the maturity to navigate these technologies alone, and we cannot place the entire burden on parents and schools. So I want to thank those who are working to address these concerns and advocate for stronger protections for our children. The decisions we make today will shape the environment in which the next generation learns, grows, and develops. Our children deserve innovation that serves them, protects them, and helps them thrive. So again, thank you, Attorney General James Uthmeier, for your leadership and commitment to this important issue. Your dedication in protecting our children from these challenges and the dangers they face in today's world is truly appreciated. So thank you again.
Thank you for being here. So we'll have the legal complaint tied to our press release on our website here within the hour, so you can see the specifics of the arguments that we're making. But at the end of the day, we believe that OpenAI and its ChatGPT and Sam Altman personally are liable for potentially up to billions of dollars based on the widespread harm to kids and the deception where they have actively marketed and told parents that this is safe for use, and it is not. So we will hold them accountable in court. We look forward to working with other states out there that want to protect kids with the same fervor that we do, and we'll keep fighting the good fight. I also want to announce, the legislature a couple of years ago passed House Bill 3. It was a bill focused on protecting young kids from the dangers of social media use. The legislature here in Florida limited access to these social media sites where kids under 14 would not be allowed access. They're not mature enough, they're not ready for the dangers that are out there. We've seen ample evidence of self-harm, mental health issues, serious physical ailments, depression, addiction, all related to the attributes that go into social media. The push notifications, the scrolling wheel, videos that start on their own, various techniques that are designed to keep people addicted and on their screens. And kids end up today on their screens 5, 6, 8 hours a day. This is not healthy. The legislature wisely passed that law. The big tech community fought us in court, arguing that the First Amendment gives them the right to have little kids on the applications. Thankfully, we've been successful in that legal fight, and we recently were notified that Meta has gone fully compliant using best efforts to keep kids under 14 off of Instagram in their applications. When it comes to 14 to 16, there has to be a parental consent feature where parents can go in and, after educating themselves on all the various controls and tracking and monitoring resources that are available to them, they then can approve once they're involved. It just shows that, big companies that are smart and have smart people, they can get these things done if they want to. So I want to commend Meta Instagram for stepping up and being a leader here and trying to protect our kids. We've been working with them on cases where maybe we see something fall through the cracks, and they've been very responsive. Others out there like TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, we will bring these fights. Today is evidence of that. So get compliant, protect our kids, or get ready to pay for it. So with that, we got a few minutes for additional questions, if there's any out there.
I have one. Yeah, Florida's AI Bill of Rights failed to become a law, and so I'm wondering why the courts would impose any restrictions on AI when our lawmakers decided not to.
Well, so our lawmakers were looking at adding some oversight, some regulation to protect kids from the dangers of AI. I think this is a very noble effort. Unfortunately, the House of Representatives did not want to do that this year. You'd have to ask them why they declined to act. You do see that legislative bodies, especially Congress in D.C., it often takes them a long time, too long, to step up and have decisive leadership and change policy. So that's where we come in. I have a whole separate set of tools beyond that new legislation where, if there is deception, if parents are being deceived, and if consumers in this state are being hurt, Florida law gives me broad authority to go after and make people pay for it. So I hope more legislation will come. HB 3 on the social media side was a great tool to take some of our other authorities and beef them up with higher penalties to, encourage behavior, get companies to choose public safety over profit. But if we have more tools coming in, I hope the legislature will come in next year and get it done. It saves lives, no doubt. Yes, sir.
So besides OpenAI, Meta has AI Google, and there are several other smaller platforms that have AI interaction as well. Does the state of Florida plan to pursue legal action against those?
Well, certainly the questions about other AI platforms, we're certainly looking at other platforms where there's efforts to endanger kids. We will step in. We want to work collaboratively with anybody that wants to make changes and protect our little ones. Where people are breaking Florida law, we are aggressive. We will fight. We will fight to do what's right and just. ChatGPT appears to be the most egregious, and we've named Sam Altman individually because it appears he's been very central to pushing a lot of the programming and behaviors that have endangered kids, while knowing that there are clear safety issues. This FSU shooting, that's the latest example that highlights just how severe the problem is. But I rattled through a sample there, and that's certainly not exhaustive of cases where people are really getting hurt or, in the worst of cases, losing their lives because of what ChatGPT has done.
Attorney General, a quick question about the Traditional Community Association. You recently threatened legal action because they're trying to ban firearms in common areas. Do we have an update on whether the HOA applied or they plan to?
I don't have an update for you. The question's on an HOA that had a lot of public places, common areas where they were not allowing concealed carry. We respect the Second Amendment here in Florida. That behavior is against the law. We wrote them a letter to put them on notice. We're going to defend the Constitution here, and our law enforcement stands by that. So I don't have a more specific update on that for you, but I'm happy to have my office reach out. Sure.
And I know that we've been hearing a lot about the kids and trying to protect them, but a lot of the cases that you mentioned are grown adults. The FSU shooter was 20 years old. So this is really, I know we put a big emphasis on children, but it's really for everybody.
Yeah, I think there are dangers impacting everybody. Obviously, the kids become a priority. Where you have 8 or 9-year-olds accessing ChatGPT, getting influenced by ChatGPT, not having parental controls, I think it highlights an even more egregious legal issue. So we're certainly going to go and protect all Florida consumers, but at the outset, we see a very strong legal case to go after them for hurting our kids and deceiving parents. I think there's going to be a lot more to come, and I think you'll see some of my friends around the country step up and lead in an important way. Yes, sir.
One last question.
Sure.
Because it just hit my brain. A lot of times with age verification protocols and such, like you mentioned, companies will have people upload, a picture of their face or photo ID. Will any safeguards be pursued for stopping companies from selling that information?
Well, I think you're talking about ID requirements, which are not in place in Florida law. I mean, businesses have their own discretion and abilities to monitor ages and have verification. I think you'll find that right now Meta is not requiring an ID to be inserted. There are other new technologies using conversations, images, postings, and things like that make it fairly easy to figure out how old somebody is. If somebody's on Instagram saying, thanks for being at my 12-year-old birthday with some photos, and it's clear that it's 12-year-olds, that's a pretty easy one to ding. So we're not requiring that. I can't speak for what legislative bodies will do down the road, but Florida does most certainly protect data privacy, and we're going to have some announcements very soon where we're going after big corporations that are careless with sensitive data, especially as it pertains to kids. So that'll be a theme of our office for the foreseeable future. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here.